So everybody also download this DataFrame examples from my GitHub, and then we can start working on that. No, this import is incorrect. Yeah, this import is incorrect. Can you show me? Okay, here it is.
Not, yeah.
This one, right? Yeah, how this came inside, I'm wondering. Where is the zip file?
Siddharth, for me also it is same.
No, it shouldn't be here. Show me like where is the
when I imported the project, but I got the same folder structure.
where is the zip file? Is it in download folder?
No, it's in, yeah, it's in download folder.
DataFrame examples master. See, it's not there, right? The extraction is incorrect.
Let me see.
Because it's tested earlier.
Okay, just let me see again.
I think if you didn't have installed any extractor, then basically that may problem, because that's using the default extractor, so it's creating a nested folder.
Extraction is
so every time you import it, no, make sure like when you import it, just expand it once and see. Okay, it should be directly project src folder and build a SPT. If that is there, then only import it. And let's go to your AWS console. So you can sign in.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So that we will do that root user.
Sorry?
It's asking like root user, I am user. Which one?
Yeah, root user.
Okay. So that I have shared you one problem in your WhatsApp. Have you checked?
Yeah, I saw that.
I was working yesterday night, then suddenly it got closed. Then I'm facing this problem.
One second. Import is incorrect, right? It's clearly saying import is incorrect. So yeah, pause the session, just we 5 minutes.
Okay.
Scala session, so we completed, right? It's still you are having.
No, actually, yeah, it's done. You have only did that, but I was working. Like I was practicing up my own.
Okay, you already imported and it started giving problem.
No, sir. No, it was done. Like yesterday, I was practicing up my own. Suddenly, that IntelliJ got closed. So then, when I reopened, then I started to run this, showing this. Could not find or load main class.
Okay, no worries. So last session we saw like we created a Amazon S3 bucket, and inside that we dumped our data, right? So this is our S3 bucket. It seems like you didn't create that. So what we can do, we can create a new bucket quickly. And the region, this is very important. We have to select island region. You have to select. It's here. That's it. this is universal name, so that's why you have to make sure like your the name what you're looking for existing or not. Okay, post that, you go inside and just click upload, and I've shared one folder, data, go inside. Okay, then click upload. Okay, the bottom line you understood, right? So this is basically just like we were like talking about SDFS, Databricks file system and all this. So this is nothing but the similar data storage only. This is the storage part. Okay, so here basically we are creating a directory. So just like your computer is having a limitation of certain GBs or certain TBs of hard drive, but here it's not like that. You have like indefinite or infinite scaling, so you have to pay for like per TB per year. They are charging some $1 or something like that. Okay, so we will not be charged because we are using less than few GBs of data, so which is fair enough. So this is basically the distributed storage. So the question comes in like, sorry, this is not a distributed storage. This is called the object storage. Every file, every data set you are storing, that is being stored as different objects. Okay, and what we are doing every time we are trying to store the data, it's a new object. So sometimes in the interviews people ask like which is the storage layer you are using. So you are saying like, suppose AWS S3 is our storage layer. So then question comes in like, is it a distributed storage? The answer is no, it's not a distributed storage. Is it better than HDFS? No, it is also not better than HDFS. The write operation is 2 times slower, and the read operation, sorry, the write operation is 3 times slower, read operation is 2 times slower. Then why are you using S3? Right? Because we are saying like, we are using Amazon S3 bucket and we have used data set. We have hundreds of petabytes of data or hundreds of terabytes of data. So we are storing the data in Amazon S3 bucket. So even after knowing that this storage is not a distributed storage, it's a object storage. Also, it is not faster than HDFS. In Hadoop distributed file system, the write operation is 2 times faster, and read operation is also 3 times faster. So that means S3 is way slower than Amazon S3 is way slower than HDFS, but still we are using it. The reason is straightforward, right? So if we want to store the data in HDFS, we have to maintain a cluster 24/7. Right? We have to create a cluster like on-premise using Cloudera or Hortonworks, or we can maintain a cluster on Amazon EMR Elastic MapReduce. So both the cases, it's a huge cost, isn't it? So if you want to maintain a cluster of, say, your requirement is basically say some 100 terabytes of data, 500 terabytes of data storage. So you can imagine easily you have to create a 200 node, 300 node cluster or 500 node cluster. Okay, so which is pretty huge. Okay, the cost will be like in crores. Okay, so basically to avoid that, what we do, we are going ahead with a cloud solution. In cloud solution, even if you are going for EMR cluster, Elastic MapReduce cluster, which is a cloud-based Hadoop cluster. So you can say like, we can set up a EMR cluster and then we store the data there in the HDFS. So that is also costly. Even though that is not that costlier than the on-premise cluster, but still EMR cluster, if you're creating a 100 node cluster and making it run 24/7, still you'll be getting thousands of dollars of bill every month, which is a pretty costly affair. So that's why we have to make sure like the storage what we are using, it is completely detached with the computation. Okay, so big data cluster means it's having both the things. Okay, a big data cluster means you have both the things, computation as well as storage, isn't it? So storage is basically, so at the end of the day, you are basically bringing 100 computer or 500 computers together, and you are basically setting up the yarn cluster. So they're like, each computer is coming up with a processor, RAM, and the hard disk. That's basically what we call it as a computer, right? So nowadays, like the modern data lake architecture, in the modern data lake architecture, the storage is completely detached with the hard drive. because you can imagine, so you want to store like say some 100 terabytes of data. So easily you have to purchase almost 50 computers, each is having 2 TB of hard disk, isn't it? So you can imagine like 50 computers where like each computer is having say some 8 core and say 8 core and say 60 GB of RAM. So each computer will be costing you almost almost more than like 1.5 lakhs to 2 lakhs, right? So it's a pretty costly affair. Like when you have TBs of data or petabyte scale data, so creating and maintaining 100 or 1,000 of cluster, it's pretty costly. Okay, unless these banks and healthcare companies, no other kind of business can afford that. Okay, it's very costly. So for that, people are going ahead with this cloud. Okay, and earlier it was only a single cloud like AWS. So there was a monopoly. Now we have three potential clusters, right? So three popular public clusters like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. Along with that, some other clouds are also there, but these are very prominent. These are very popular these days. So you can still negotiate like who is providing better price to you. So the modern architecture is basically the computation is completely detached with the storage. So it doesn't matter how much of data, terabytes, petabytes scale data is there. You can store it in the storage layer. Just let me know if my voice is breaking, because I can see internet fluctuation. So just let me know. Okay, so yeah, the point here is basically what I want to say here. The storage is completely attached with the computation. So because of that only, we are going ahead with all this kind of storage. Okay, my job is running say daily 5 hours, 10 hours. So for that period of time, I'll be creating a temporary transient cluster or a temporary cluster. I'll run my job and I'll terminate that cluster. So I'll be billed for those particular hours. And but my data is residing there in the cloud storage. Maybe you are using AWS. Maybe you are using AWS. What do you call AWS S3 stands for Simple Storage Service, or you are using Azure storage, or you are using say Google Cloud storage. So whichever storage you are using, so these are pretty cheaper. Okay, so per TB roughly some $1 you are paying, and if your data is in hundreds of petabytes, you can still negotiate with them and you can get it almost less than $0.50 also per month, right? And again, we have discussed about the file format. If you efficiently use the right file format, you can save a lot of cost around that. Okay, so here going forward, we will be always using Amazon S3 bucket. We'll never do any data read write from local system, because of the obvious reason. What's the reason? We are basically trying to say, so it will create a feeling like you're always, whatever the examples you are doing, these are all real-time projects you're working. Okay, so that's why like I always avoid reading data from local system, but there is no limitation. You can still read data from local system while executing any program. Okay, so with that, so this is what the bucket we have created. This is inside Amazon S3 bucket. In Europe, Ireland region, you have to create a folder or a bucket, and inside that you dump your data. Then the question comes in like how to read the data, right? That is also another question. How to read the data. Anybody missing today's session? Jatin only missing.
Yeah, I've joined with that.
Yeah, okay. So yeah. So basically now we just set up the storage. Now the question comes in like the storage you just created, how to make sure like the accessibility of the data, right? That is one of the key aspect we have to discuss. So there are again two different ways. Maybe there can be multiple, but two common ways are there. Like we read the data. One is basically this bucket is private bucket. You saw like when we were like creating, it was showing a checkbox public access disabled, right? Which is true, because this is not just storage. Like you are not only being charged for like storing data and occupying some certain GBs and TBs of space there. Rather, the charge is also per read write. Okay, IO wise also they do charge. Okay, so again, like there is per month some free quota is there. If you're exceeding that, so the IO is also chargeable. Okay, you are paying for the IO. Okay, every input output also you are being charged. So now, so IO is also charged. So now the question comes in like how to read the data, how to create a proper authentication process so that people can read the data from that particular location. So that means if it's a client data, so client will make sure like the data is not moving outside of that premise, right? So imagine like any finance data. So finance data, you can imagine the data is basically gold. Like you can sell that finance data and you can make tons of money. So obviously you will not be making that data available freely, right? So everybody will be getting access to your data. The data should be completely secured. So for that, you need to make sure like how to protect your data. Okay, so for that we generally follow two different approaches. What we do, we create a access key and secret key. Okay, so just like you are logging into any portal using your user ID password, similarly here there are two keys are there. So access key and secret access key. These are the two keys required to establish a connection and do the IO from any systems to this Amazon S3. That is one thing. So if it is non confidential data, like moderately confidential data, so we can follow this approach like access key and secret key. That means if it is not a finance data, not a healthcare data, so you can follow this approach, access key, secret key, and you can read that data from any system. Okay, so through this access key and secret access key. And another thing is if the data is highly secured confidential data, so there is no other way you can't access that data outside of that system. Okay, so you can't access that data outside, so it's a big no. Okay, nobody can access that data outside the premise. So then how to make use of the data? So the data should be used inside the AWS premise only. Okay, AWS has already hundreds of services are there. So whichever tools, technologies you are using in your projects, everything is available here. Everything, not a single thing missing, everything is available here. Okay, so that means you can use this AWS services to build your entire data pipelines. Or entire project should be running on AWS. So AWS will not never let you go your data outside of your AWS premise. Okay, there is two different ways. Okay, so one is through access key, secret key. Your data is moderate or less confidential, so you can make use of this. Then you can make use of this.
Siddharth, I have a question.
Yeah, please.
Like we have distributed computing, right? So data, we have distributed computing, right?
Correct.
And data will process across 50 machines.
Mm-hmm.
So here in like same account, we should have all 50 machines, or like how?
Yeah. Same machine. So you're saying you're creating a cluster here in AWS?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yes.
obviously, right? So if you're creating a big data cluster and you wanted to run some distributed program and you want to create 50 partitions at a time, or 50 partition has nothing to do with the number of computers, because a same computer can read multiple partitions also. So whatever the number of clusters, number of computers in a cluster, so all these things will be there in AWS. It's not shared. You can't create a cluster where few nodes are there in AWS and few nodes are there in. That is possible, but we don't follow that route. So clusters wise, we just discussed like AWS EMR provides a big data cluster. So we use that. That is one mechanism. Another way is basically you can create your own cluster. So you just procure computers. Background noise.
Hello. Actually, my question is like this is account, right?
Mm-hmm.
So suppose we are processing 1000 GB of data. So we cannot process that single machine. So 500 GB will process here in this account in this machine, and some another person's machine will process 500 GB like that, or how?
No, it's completely abstracted. In Amazon S3 bucket, it's just a hard disk. Okay, so in the backend, like how they're maintaining that is completely abstracted.
Okay, it's their own duty. All these distributed computing.
Exactly. Here you saw like, did I mention any machine and all? No, it's completely abstracted.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Just like in SDK, you just upload your file. In the backend, suppose you have 100 computers or 1000 computers, it is distributed accordingly. Same thing here also. The backend storage is completely abstracted For you, you just dump the data and you have the URL for that particular data and access it. Okay, no machines and nothing. Those things is completely abstracted here. Okay, make sense?
Yes, yes.
So yeah, so we discussed like accessibility wise, there are two mechanisms, through access key, secret access key, and the second one is basically through so we don't have any other side accessibility. So whatever however you want to read the data, that service should be a part of AWS service. It should be one of the AWS service itself. Okay, so that is there. So then the next thing is basically, so the next thing will be basically, let's see, we are following the first approach, right? That is reading data through access key and secret access key. So for that, we have a service called IAM role. Okay. So IAM is a managed access, so identity and access management. So IAM. So IAM is a service that is used to create an authentication process. Okay. So what we are doing in IAM management console, we have this user section. Just click add user. Say I'm creating a test user here. I'm giving programmatic access, and I can give AWS management console access also. So somebody was asking, when we sign up, when we are trying to sign in, it was giving two options. Either you want to sign in as a root user or basically a IAM role. So this is what, like if you enable IAM role, you can use that credentials to log in to the AWS console through that IAM role only. And in the projects, we always get the IAM role access. We never get the root access. The reason being, root access is the admin user. Okay, if you are logging into a AWS account using your email ID and password as the root user, then you are an admin user. So in AWS, you saw there are hundreds of services, more than 500 services are there. You have access to all these services. And in your project, max you are using 5 to 10 services. So you should be having access to that only. If you'll be getting all this access, you will be doing all these R&Ds and all, you will create thousands of dollars of bill, and your company will be, and your client will be getting frustrated about what you guys are doing and all this. So that's why, so as DevOps part, so your DevOps person will create user credentials for you, and he or she will be giving you the right access to each of these user. You are a big data developer, so he just created a user for you, and that user is having they have created IAM user for you, and that user is having access to EMR cluster, Amazon S3 bucket, then CloudWatch, all these 5-10 services are there whichever required. So he just created those accesses for those users, and you can use that credentials to log in, and the respective credentials will be services will be accessible to you. Okay, here we will be using root user only, and I'm giving programmatic access because from program I will be using the access key secret key to read the data, right? Then here basically the policies I'm saying, like that DevOps person will give you the respective accesses, right? So Amazon S3 bucket, I'm giving full access. Maybe he will be giving you EMR, okay, Elastic MapReduce. Maybe Elastic MapReduce full access, like that, those kind of credentials they can give. But for us, like we are using only the S3 bucket, S3 credentials. So it's not a full-fledged IAM role. It's just a sample user we are creating to create the access policy for Amazon S3 bucket. Okay, so I'm not adding all this. So I just added only Amazon S3 access, full access. Then this is a tag. Tag is basically it's optional. So what we do, the same in your, suppose you are working for Accenture. Accenture must be having like hundreds of clients. Suppose you are working for, say you are basically working for one of the clients, say called Unilever. Okay, you 10 people are working on that. So you people will be having the project ID, right? You are filling your time sets and all. So you'll be having your project code. So he'll be mentioning say keys project and value is say your project ID. So that what will happen, no? Suppose he has created 10 users or you have 5 users. So by the end of the month, he can basically segregate the bills. Okay, there are hundreds of accounts are there. For a given client also, there can be multiple users, multiple projects. So each project wise, he can basically segregate the cost. Okay, this project you have this much of cost this month, this project that much of cost this month, like that. Okay, so that's what, like you can add key value pairs, say project or say client, say data science mouse. It's optional, you can leave it. Okay, any other informations you want, suppose basically role. Okay, you are basically a software engineer level 2 or level 3. So say designation, because what happens, no, suppose designation, so you mention say the developer, like that, couple of information, developer or lead or manager, a person, the developer person can create different types of roles for different users, like that. Okay, but this is completely optional, you can just skip it also, but the objective is that, okay, how to tag. Otherwise, like end of the month you get a get like $10,000 or $20,000 of bill, so how you'll be segregating, right? So it becomes very cumbersome. So that's why, like, we always create with proper accesses, okay, proper taggings. Okay, it's saying you have only AWS S3 full access and few of these tags, and then you call create user. So this is the user credentials, you can download it and you can keep it inside. Okay, so now we will be using, so it's also showing here, but first time only this download option will come. If you don't download, you will not be able to download in the past. Okay, that's it's like that. So you have to make sure like you keep all these things with you. Then these credentials we have to use in our application. Okay, this access key, 3 different places you have to add it. I'm just adding it now in one place. Okay, so now we have the other value. This is the bucket name. Okay, so these are the credentials we just set up. Post that. So that is all about your Amazon S3 bucket and its credential details. Then couple of other services also we have to enable. that is EC2. EC2 is basically a virtual server, just like in your applications, whichever softwares you are using or whichever servers you are using. So you're hosting it on a machine, right? So you're a web developer. So you just created your application, and your application has been deployed in a Tomcat server or IBM WebSphere server, and that server is also hosted in a machine, right? So maybe in your company, in your data center, or in your like on-premise, you have just procured a machine like a premium server having say some 16 core and say 122 GB of RAM, and your DevOps person has just formatted that with Ubuntu or CentOS operating system, on top of which they have installed that server, and then basically your applications are, all these things are deployed there. That means the long discussion short, basically we need remote machines a lot in different applications when you are working in different projects, right? So we require machines like because everybody is deploying your application in a single server, okay, or basically multiple people are basically sharing the same clusters, right? One second. So that means basically we require machines very frequently in while working in different projects. So EC2 stands for Elastic Cloud Compute. This is nothing but a computer only. Okay, so as a free account, like we are using Amazon S3 bucket, similarly Ec2 Instance also will be using it for free. So you go here. So why we are using Amazon EC2 Instance here? So a couple of reasons. So when we'll be starting, maybe next session onwards, we'll be starting with the data frames and all. So in data frame, so that means basically a data frame is basically the core part. In the real-time projects, we'll be using data frames extensively. So in a typical ETL projects, we will see like 2 to 3 steps, like reading data from heterogeneous sources to your staging area or the landing area. Then you apply the data curation, read the data from the staging area, apply the data curation on that, data cleaning and all this. Then make the data available to the basically intermediate layer or curation layer. Then you read the data from the curation layer and move it to the provision layer. Provision layer. Either it's a Redshift database or like Google BigQuery or basically Snowflake. Or basically Amazon Athena, any system you are using to publish your data, so that the end users in the downstream, they can consume that data, right? So in big data applications, we produce the data, and that data is being used in the downstream, either in the dashboards like Tableau dashboard or ClickView dashboards and all, or it is being used by another set of Spark applications. They are doing some further analysis, or this is being used by the machine learning people to do some machine learning models, right? So this is the purpose of different the data what you are generating, right? So same thing we are doing. So running instance here. So here also, so make sure like in the right hand side, the Ireland has been selected. Okay. So before doing anything, make sure like you are using Ireland region, because most of the things are free for longer time here in this area. Okay, I'm launching an instance. Yeah, so why I came to this discussion, basically, I was just trying to do all these installations there. In the data ingestion part, you will be reading data from heterogeneous sources. So we will see like how to read data from Amazon S3 bucket, how to read data from relational databases like Mysql, Oracle, and all this. You will be also reading data from MongoDB, like on any NoSQL database. Then you will be reading data from SFTP server, like it's a shared folder, like when you are working across multiple clients, or basically you have different vendors from which you are doing data ingestion. Sometimes they will say like, we don't know, like we don't have any big data team, so we can share the data over a SFTP server. You have to consume the data from that. Or basically some people will say like, we have the production database, we are not maintaining a copy database, So we will extract the data and we will share it in a shared folder, and you have to use it. That's what I'm referring as. This what you call this SFTP. Okay, Secured File Transfer Protocol. Okay, so we will be reading data from pretty much every other source, like relational database. So in many applications, you will see you have to do the data ingestion from RDBMS like Oracle, MySQL, SQL Server. So I'll be giving you one example how to read data from MySQL, so that like later you are reading data from Oracle, Postgres, any system, you can replicate the same solution. Similarly, I will show you like how to read or write data from Amazon Redshift, which is an MPP database. So you can use the same learning to read data from Google BigQuery, or you can read data from AWS Athena. You can use pretty much any system. Okay, suppose I will be showing you like how to read data from SFTP. So SFTP is common, like it doesn't matter if it is hosted over a Windows machine or a Unix based machine. So the syntax is same. Similarly, I'll be showing you how to read data from any of this NoSQL database. I'll be showing you how to read or write data from MongoDB. Okay, then we will be reading data from MongoDB. We will see like how to create a document there, and then how to read and write data to MongoDB. So if possible, we'll see one separate session, 1 2-hour session on MongoDB also, because nowadays it is becoming very popular. It's very popular anyway. So earlier I was just giving some basic examples like how to read data from MongoDB and write data to MongoDB from Spark. But we will try to discuss some more details. As in like what is NoSQL database, what is this document storage, how do you do read and write data to that. So these things we'll discuss in details. Then the next thing will be so just like suppose we discuss about MongoDB. Suppose in your project you are using MongoDB, then you are lucky. If you are not using MongoDB, they are using say Cassandra, or they are using say this AWS has another database. I'm forgetting its name. Cloud. Which one is that? I'm just forgetting that. Anybody remember?
DynamoDB.
DynamoDB, correct. So you are using DynamoDB, or basically you are using HBase, or you are using anything. So the syntax will be pretty much similar, and the concept is also same. Okay, so these are a couple of steps, and then these are a couple of steps, and then let's.
Siddharth, what is this Azure storage? That one, is it kind of same with the AWS?
Yeah, that is again another cloud storage, cloud provider. Just like we are using AWS here.
That's by Micro.
Yeah, that's Microsoft's cloud, public cloud. So I personally work on AWS since last 5 years. I have some exposure towards Google Cloud also, but Azure is completely new for me. So people who are having some familiarity, you can just give it a try. You can create some POC. Anybody there here in this batch with Azure background? I think no, right? Anyway, so like basically we are using AWS, which is fine. Like that's the biggest cloud provider in the world now. So they have the maximum number of services, and their services as the most stable in comparison to any other. So that's why. So all these people are using AWS. So, but anyway, you are free to. So it's not like if you are learning AWS, you will not be able to work on any other cloud. So you have to spend some time and understand. Here we are using AWS EMR clusters as a Hadoop clusters to deploy our application. They are in Google Cloud. It is a Dataproc. Dataproc is the cluster. So you have to spend another 1 or 2 weeks to understand like what is the respective softwares or services available in the other cloud. Then you can start making use of it. Okay, that is basically the idea here. So because it's not possible to cover all these clouds, and in that way this course will be becoming kind of like another 1 month additional. So that's you have to go through. And also training is that, right? Training is not like giving all these examples. It's just to show you the pointers. Yeah, this is the type of projects we execute. This is the type of source may we do data ingestion from. Then if there are many alternatives. Okay, suppose we learn here like how to read data from MySQL. So the expectation shouldn't be like show me how to read data from Oracle, show me how to read data from Postgres. This is kind of very novice questions, right? because the objective is once you learn like how to read data from one RDBMS, you know like what are the requirements, what is the how to import the library, how to write the syntax to do the data ingestion. Then you have to use the same learning to read from another RDBMS. There are more than 10 different RDBMS out there, isn't it? So if you know one, then you have to replicate the same solution for the rest of the other RDBMS softwares also. There are like in popular, there are almost 5 to 6 NoSQL databases. So we will be learning one. So the rest of the things like basis your project requirement. If you are using some different different NoSQL, so you have to spend some time understand like what is that NoSQL database and try to replicate them. So learning, so things will be very fast. Okay, it's not like you're completely ignorant about NoSQL database, so you have to learn everything from scratch. No, not like that. You already have some background. Okay, you have to make use of that. So EC2 instance basically we will be using to host a SFTP server. Okay, anytime you are using any what you call this coming here. Anybody know how to remove this? In the top, it is showing that all people's. No, it's not coming anyways. So what I'm doing here. So here basically I'm creating a EC2 instance, which is a computer only. It's available remotely on AWS Ireland. They have the data center there in Ireland. So they are giving you a machine, like we are using a free instance. So here basically I will be using Ubuntu. Okay, I will be using Ubuntu. Okay, Ubuntu 20 just came, I think, few days back, but I am still using 18. Okay, so Ubuntu 18.04 I am using here. Okay, computer means it's not just a hard disk and the RAM and all this. So I'm basically taking one computer, or I'm reserving one computer, means it should be having a OS. Otherwise, how will be accessing that computer? Every time in a computer means it's tightly attached with one OS operating system. So you can use any, just like you saw in the previous step. You have Linux, you have Windows machine, we have everything. Red Hat, you have SUSE Linux, you have pretty much many different Windows. You have deep learning related AMI, Ubuntu. All these type of computers are there, so you can pick anything. Okay. Again, there is no hard and fast rule. You have to use a particular type of computer. You can create your own thing also. Okay, I just selected this one. Here it is showing free tier eligible. So T2 micro. It's having one core and 1 GB of RAM. It's a pretty small computer, right? So it's free. Like for your free account, it is free. Okay. So I'm just using that. Sorry, I missed one point. So when you are going to EC2, first you have to create an access credential. Just like in Amazon S3 bucket, we created an access credential. We have to first create a private key here. Okay, so once you create a computer, how you'll be accessing it? There should be some access mechanism, right? So either you'll be using user ID password or you'll be using a private key file. So we always follow a private key file. So here you can see the same EC2 instance, EC2 dashboard. If you're coming here, so in the bottom, if you scroll down, you have a key pair option. Okay, so you can click key pair and you can create a key pair here. Temp file. Say I'm giving a name as test. Create a key pair first, because otherwise how you'll be reading that data, right? So that data has to be, so how to basically make interaction with that remote system. We require a proper authentication process. So we will see like how to make use of this key pair. So now I'm just creating a computer EC2 instance. Then I select the same computer here again. Then I'm using the same free tier computer. Here basically I'm not making any change. I'm clicking launch. So it will automatically show the couple of options. Choose an existing key pair. So I am using a test, the same. So it will take few minutes to, it will take less than a minute to create that cluster. Okay, it's showing the instance ID. Okay, it is there. Then basically how to access it. To access it, the Windows user, you have to use this putty. Okay, non-Windows user, you don't have to install anything extra. Okay, from terminal only you can directly access it. That's the beauty. Like we all big data people, we always prefer Ubuntu or Mac. Okay, because that's the most preferred one. If, in fact, in companies also you'll be provided Ubuntu or Mac only. Okay, so but Windows user, you have to use this putty software to make remote SSH connections. Okay, because Windows is not Unix friendly, so we have to make whole bunch of additional software installations. Okay, I have used Windows for almost 2 years in my big data career, so I know the pain. It's always slower. Okay, because in big data application, you have to always keep on building your application, deploying your application. That takes 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes half an hour. Whereas in Unix and like Ubuntu and Mac systems, it's less than a minute. Okay, sometimes few seconds only. That's the reason we always prefer Ubuntu and Mac systems. It's taking this long time here.
So basically, Siddharth, I don't have to download anything for this putty?
Yeah, Ubuntu systems, you don't require anything.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we just installed that. Now what we can do?
I have to give the password. Just give me a minute.
It's installed or it's still?
No, it is not. It is not yet.
Okay, okay. Can you change? Can you add it?
I'll do that.
Okay, always don't try to miss the session, because if you feel like post the session, you'll follow the recording. So most of the time you never get a chance to go through that, because it's a 2-hour sessions. To go through that, it will require minimum 3 hours, 4 hours. It's kind of one day. Okay, so meanwhile, I just ping you for Ubuntu system. The command will be like this. Okay, so now what we can do, we can go to that EC2 instance. We'll see the IP name. So we just, this is the public DNS name. And this is the URL through which you have to access it from outside. So, okay, I think before that, we also have to do another thing. So when you install Putty, there will be 2 softwares installed. One is Putty Zen, another is Putty. Again, PEM file is only for Ubuntu and Mac. For Windows system, you have to convert it to PPK file. Okay, so Okay, so I just converted that to PPK file. You just import it and save it as private key. Okay, suppose that Ubuntu is the username @ then you just pasted that DNS name what you have copied earlier, and then save it. Say EC2 Ubuntu. Okay, and then come to SSH, expand it, auth, browse, point to that test.ppk file. Okay, we should be able to connect it, but it will not connect. This is the syntax. This is the proper approach we follow to make a connection. Strange, it is connecting. Then we did some serious mistake. We need to check it. Actually, every time we are creating a machine, it should be having a security group. So here you can see there is a security group launch wizard 1. Okay, let's see. For launch wizard 1, we have the inbound rules are there. Edit inbound rules. So it has been given public access. Okay, it's dangerous. So what we have to do? My IP address. Okay, I just give my IP address, and let me think. My IP address, or I'll give public access. So there is two mechanisms. If you give my IP address, so your computer, this EC2 instance will not be accessible to outside world. Okay, but with that, one problem is, so what will happen every time suppose you are using a Wi-Fi router, and you, because of power down, like it just restarted and all, so you'll be assigned a separate IP address. That means your IP address will keep on changing. Okay, even if you restart your computer, sometimes it assigns you to a new IP address. So in that case, when you rerun the code, so again you have to come here and do that. I follow this approach because I don't want to keep public access to my computer. So sometimes because of that also we get a lot of bills. So we make sure like not to make use of this. And the second approach is basically, if you just give it, the earlier was anywhere. It was saying means it is accessible to everywhere. So in this case, what will happen means anybody can hit your computer if he is having that key file. But in that case, what you have to do, once you use the computer, your work is done, you can terminate that computer. Okay, this is also fine. Okay, but let's follow one approach because I don't want to confuse you, because these are DevOps work. There is no point in doing mastery on this. So we just give my IP address, because for rest of the services also I will be using the similar thing. Okay, so you have to basically, so present working directory, it's home Ubuntu. So here we'll be creating a folder mkdir, say data. I just changed it. I just came to this directory home.ubuntu.data. So I just want to copy copy one file, because we will be having some examples where we'll be reading data from a SFTP server. Okay, and in Ubuntu machines, SFTP comes by default. By default, SSH port is opened on 22 port number, so we don't have to install any separate software here. Okay, so again, like this, we are creating a mock SFTP server. In real-time project, you don't have to do all this activity. Your vendor is providing data in some SFTP folder. They will be sharing every credentials with you. They will give you the folder name, username, password, the IP address, and the key file, everything will be shared with you, and you have to read data, programmatically read the data. Since we are basically practicing the program how to read data and all this, so that means we have to create a mock SFTP server and read the data from that. Okay, in real-time project, you don't have to do that. Most of the time, you will be getting that. Sometimes maybe like you are sharing data, you are selling your data to some other vendor, you may have to do this. But most of the time, this data will be available to you and you have to make use of this. Okay, we just did that. We created a Ubuntu machine here. Okay, we just created a Ubuntu machine here, and on this machine, we are basically so created a data folder. So data folder will be used as a SFTP directory. Okay, from this particular folder, we'll be doing data IO. Okay, and how to move data? So putty will also not help you. Okay, so here in Windows, you have to use another software called FileZilla. FileZilla or WinSCP, both, anything you can use. Okay, again, Ubuntu system, you don't have to do that. There is a command available. You can basically just download FileZilla client. Okay, we have to download the free one. But in Ubuntu system, there's a command. There is SSH, just like I sent you SSH-i, then the private key file name, xyz.pem, then space Ubuntu @ the DNS name. That is the syntax to make a SSH connection. Then how to move the file? Instead of SSH, use SCP. SCP command is used to copy. Okay, SCP-i, the PEM file name, then the from, then the to. Like from local computer, which file you want to move, or copy. And in the destination folder, to which location you want to copy that data.
So I have to write basically in terminal this command.
You have to write that command in terminal.
So what will be the DNS name?
Sorry?
DNS name.
DNS name you saw, right? We copied it.
Yes.
In the bottom, you will see in the right hand side, there will be your DNS name and there is a copy option to copy it.
Okay.
So can you install it, please? Windows scanner.
Siddharth, it is showing that some threads found.
Okay, so let's try with another software. One second. Can you try this software?
Sure.
You just double click. Yeah. Yeah, next. Yeah, install.
You want me to do yes on this?
Yeah, you can click yes. Okay. One second. Okay. What it is saying. Anyway, so it's just installed. So now we can make use of that. So we already have this. So the moment we imported from Putty, so it's just in Putty we have created a session called EC2 Ubuntu. So it just picked up from that. The host name is this, username is Ubuntu, password not required, and the key file must have also. Where is the key file? Or let's delete it and create it again. Host name is this, Control V. Username is Ubuntu. Password not required. Then why it is not giving me the key file option? Using Ubuntu authentication field, okay. I'm just forgetting here how to use this. In sessions, there is a site manager. New site. But man, why it's not giving me that option? SFTP. Okay, it's just connected. So what you can do, just like you saw here in sessions, we have sites. Okay, here EC2 Ubuntu. Like once you created that, once you created that Putty session there, after that you install WinSCP. So WinSCP asked you to import the sessions from Putty. So we just did that. Okay, post that it is appearing here, so you can come here, click that, it will connect it. Okay, so this is your local computer in the left hand side, user star any party document star, and here in the right hand side it is saying home Ubuntu. Okay, that you have seen it earlier, right? So inside that we have created a data folder. Okay, if you remember, just few minutes back we created that, right? Here it is saying the current directory is home Ubuntu data, and what we will be doing here, here you have to select in C drive, you have workspace. In workspace, you have data. There is one file called receipt delta. Okay, this file we have to move it. So you understand the bottom line here is basically we will be seeing how to read data from SFTP server using Spark. Okay, that means we just created a mock SFTP server. Just assume like you are working for Unilever. Okay, so Unilever has delegated their software work to different companies. So you require one particular data set which is owned by say TCS. Okay, TCS has just shared that data set with you over a SFTP folder. Okay, they just told you just read this data from this SFTP folder. Now you are able to read that data. So they will give you all these credentials. If you are using Unix-based systems, you can execute the commands to see the folder and what are the contents. Or if you are a Windows user, you can use FileZilla or WinSCP to connect that system and see what other files are there. Okay, now we just copied that data. So we did two configuration. One is Amazon S3 bucket, which will be the storage layer, and which will be the storage layer, and another is basically a SFTP server. SFTP server is a shared folder, secured shared folder, and from that also we are reading data. And then couple of other systems like we also discussed about MongoDB and all, right? So for MongoDB, we can install MongoDB on the same EC2 instance. Okay, so if I'm going to the project what you have downloaded, there should be Mongo installation guidelines. So what you have to do, you have to execute this command there. Come out of the data folder. Now just keep executing that. Question is why we are not doing installation of Mongo in a local computer. You know how painful it will be for me. Some people are using Ubuntu, some people are using Mac, some people are using Windows. So I have to spend 2-3 sessions only for installations. Right? That's why earlier I was doing, when I started this training, I was following that approach. I literally got frustrated. Then I started with this approach. So in here we are using AWS Cloud, and we have one free machine. So we can max utilize that. Do all the setups there, and in a way it's a good learning for you also. You also learn how to set up the softwares there in remote systems, and it will be useful for you.
So Siddharth, even I have to select that same Ubuntu in EC2 instance.
Correct.
Okay. So there I will get a like this terminal. I have to download that MongoDB.
Yeah, means you don't have to do this putty connection. You have to execute that SSH command what I sent you.
Okay.
So that command on that in the same terminal only you will be executing.
This for the MongoDB.
Yeah, just feel like this is your own terminal only. It's not a putty and all.
Okay. Okay.
Execute that SSH command on that terminal only. You will keep on executing this.
Okay.
It's a little tricky. Just I did it in last batch only. Just bear with me. Maybe I need some time to do the setup. Earlier I was doing it in a local computer. But I just want to make sure like all these commands I have just noted down. These are in the right sequence. Yeah, I came to etc. Again, don't worry. These are not, you have to remember, your DevOps person will do this. So here I am just trying to set up a mock system. Okay, so here basically I need to do this modification. VI editor, then I need to uncomment this. So this is a VI editor. Click I means insert mode. Come here, and here you can see the bind IP is this. Just can you type hash symbol here?
Sure.
Cool. So that's it. Then you can see insert mode means in the bottom you can say insert it is showing. Then if you click escape, then that insert symbol will be coming. Then you type :WQ, okay, to save and exit. Okay, so what I did in etc folder, once you install MongoDB, that mongodb.conf is a file, so you edit it. Okay, you just edited it using VI editor. Any editor you are comfortable, you can edit it. But in Unix, mostly we use this nano or edit we use this nano or what do you call, why it is multiple has coming. It's fine.
No, actually, I think you
I typed
did
it.
that twice, and I have done it once. So
Okay.
it all came once.
And then :WQ to basically save it. Okay. So pause that. Few more commands. Sudo service mongo restart. Copy it. First come outside. Home Ubuntu. So service, that you just click sudo service MongoD restart. Then create a Mongo document. Let's see if it is working or not. I think these are not required. Cool. Okay, these commands are not required. Huh? Then you execute this. Okay. So I created a document called students.find semicolon. What it is saying. New schools, then DP, students insert, bulk right result this, students, right? Students dot find. Student is not defined.
We have not created it. Not created actually.
Is it? No. Oh, sorry.
You have only copied that.
No, I am just missing this DP dot.
Yes.
Okay, so this is basically we created a document and we are just finding it. So we just created a basic Mongo document. We just like relational databases are having two-dimensional tables. MongoDB is having not two-dimensional structure. These are documents, key value pairs. Key is a ID, value is a JSON tree. That JSON tree can be having n number of key value pairs. So to avoid this two-dimensional structure of tables, because nowadays there are very complex applications and you can't upfront identify the schema of tables. So that's why we are going NoSQL databases. So MongoDB is one of them. It's creating a document storage. Okay. So it's a document storage. We are storing different documents. Each document is identified by a key. Okay. You are seeing key is basically this one. Value is basically student roll number 1, first name this, last name this, like that. Okay, so now for you the assignment is basically there is a software called Robo3T. Okay, Robo3T is a software that's the client for this. So how you'll be accessing this from local computer. Okay, so you can use Robo3T to do that, or else you can come to the terminal. I'll tell you that later. So, but for now, what we did, we just did 3 softwares installation. One is three data systems. One is basically Amazon S3 bucket that will be used for the cloud storage or the alternative of HDFS. Other thing we saw, like we hosted a SFTP server from which we'll be doing data read. Then the third system we saw MongoDB. So MongoDB is a NoSQL database. From there also we will do the IO. We will read and write data. Okay. Then the next thing is basically we will be hosting a RDMS MySQL database. Okay. So again we will go to, see, don't take a month to do the setups. Okay, just finish it today. I will not cover any programming part. So today I'm just trying to finish all these installations. Try to finish it today only. Don't postpone it. You'll be completely out of track. You will not be able to like cope up. So there is a service called RDS. Okay, and try to finish it by your own. Don't ask me a lot of time, because if I just do the setups in every other systems, it will take me another 2 sessions, isn't it? So try to finish it. If it's really a problem, then just come back to me, like I can help you. But I would say just try to do the setups by your own. It's a good learning. Okay, cloud is also, see, people are giving AWS course separately. Okay, for me it's not like that. It's in the same course only, it's available. So expectations shouldn't be like I'll be doing it for everybody. It's not very difficult, isn't it? Like only few clicks. Just imagine if you install it everything by your own, like it's a huge work. But here everything few clicks only you are able to create. So now we are creating a MySQL database. Here you saw we are basically creating a MySQL database here. So select standard. Here these are the databases. So I am selecting MySQL. Okay, MySQL is the database I'm using. So I'm not changing the versions. 5.7.26. Fine. Then it's saying which template, production, dev test, free. So I'm using free. Database name, I'm not changing it. Database one, no, let's change it. It's not looking good. I'm giving it test DB. Okay. And the credentials, it's asking master username. So why I'm following that? Because we will be also using Redshift and all. So everywhere I'll be using the same name. Okay, so that I don't have to remember multiple things. Credentials master. Password is temp1234. Capital T, small emp, temp1234. Don't give any other user ID password. Trust me, like 90% cases I've seen people who give different password, they forget it, and you have to redo the same thing again. Okay, it's unnecessarily wastage of time. So follow the same thing, temp1234. These things I'm using default. Connectivity default VPC, it's automatically selecting. Some additional connectivity configurations is there. Here, say public accessibility, it's by default no. Let's make it yes. Is saying VPC, choose the existing VPC security group. It's already selected default. I don't want to change it. Password authentication I want to make. Additional configuration, anything. Initial database name, same I'm giving test DB. So backup, it is saying it want to take 7 days. So I will give the maximum. It's not actual project database, it's a mock database. I'm giving 35 days. In every 35 days, it will take a backup. Logs, I'm not adding anything. Maintenance, nothing. Deletion protection, no. That's it. Create database. Oh, did I change anything? Temp 1, 2, 3, 4. Temp 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. It will take a minute. Just give me a 1 minute break. Our MySQL database is also almost ready, right? Yeah. it's taking backup. Then again, like how to access this database, right? That becomes important, right? So we have the system available, then how to make it accessible from our local box. So for that, we have to use a database client. So I use dbeaver. So you're free to use anything, but this is one of the best free database client, which has connectivity to pretty much every other system. So I'm using this Windows 64-bit installer. Okay, successfully created. So what I'll be doing, I click that. I'll see what are the credentials. Endpoint is this. Can you install this dbeaver? So you just install it, right? So now what we can do, we can basically, no, you don't, it's again asking to reinstall. We don't need it, right? So we can just search dbeaver, which has been installed. So this is the database client software. Basically, we are trying to, oh God, it's not installed properly. Why it's asking again and again? Taran, you are there? Why this is asking again and again?
I just tried giving admin username and password. I think it will be done. Let me quickly check it.
dbeaver, BA.
BE, is it?
This one. It's the exe file it's showing. I think the installation is not completed.
Just give me a second. One more time, I'll try. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Wait, last time this all things were not showing here. I mean,
It was not complete. Yeah, Close this. No, close this and no, yeah, still not installed. I think last one it was showing we should have like clicked OK. Oh God, I think yeah, I have to redo. Click OK.
Next.
Yeah, next. I think last pop-up was there. We shouldn't have missed it. I feel like that.
1 second.
So for the rest of the people that will work. Okay, so people who are using Windows, so you can install it. So it should be properly done. And for other OS, you can use. If you're using Mac, you can use Mac's version, and for Linux or Ubuntu, you can use the Ubuntu version also. Okay. So I think for you it's not working.
dbeaver is which kind of database?
It's not database, it's a database client.
Okay.
Right? Database client and database is a different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Database client is a software that is used to connect remote databases. Because
So
your
kind of
remote
databases it will connect relational databases or no
yeah,
SQL?
only relational database it support. No NoSQL database.
What is the advantage with MongoDB with respect to maybe HBase or with respect to HBase?
That you have to find it out. I'm not pro in NoSQL, but I'll give you some ideas on Mongo. But the comparison with other databases, you have to do it. Let me see, like this batch onwards, I'm starting MongoDB in details. During that time, I'll try to cover as much as possible.
Are you using MongoDB in your project?
Yeah, it's used in many projects.
Okay. What kind of use case it is serving?
Document storage, no NoSQL database. When your data is not two-dimensional, it varies, like record-wise, the structure varies.
Okay.
So there we can use document storage. Can you click allow access?
Yeah, I'll just give it 1 second.
Can you click allow access also? Okay, cool. Do you want to create sample database? No. Click no.
Okay.
Cool. Now what we can do, we can create a connection to MySQL. So we have MySQL database here. Next. So we can just paste. Okay. Come to here. Just copy the endpoint. Database name we have given testdb. Username we have given master. Password we have given 1234. Okay. So then click test connection. It will ask you to download the library. Let's see it is connecting or not. Seems like it's not connecting. That means security problem, security group problem. Here we have the default security group here. So what you have to do, you have to open it and see like what is the inbound rules added. Okay, anytime you are facing this this connection issue means most of the cases either you forgot your password or there is a problem with the inbound rule. Okay, so what we can do, all traffic, add a rule. put all traffic, give custom my IP. That's it. Then click save. Right. Let's connect it again. Good. Now it's connecting. Okay, so now your database has been created and the connection is also done. So you can expand it. Database, there is a test database we have created. There is no tables inside, right? It's empty. I think one change we have to do. No, I don't think so. Okay. So now we just did the, oh God, time is almost over. So now one thing just left, that is the Redshift database. We'll create a AWS Redshift database. It's a MPP, massively parallel processing database. Click create cluster. No. Click that clusters. Just change the interface here. Back to original console. Come to this screen and then click create cluster. Test db master temp 1 2 3 4, again temp 1 2 3 4, continue. These things mostly these are all default. Continue. Then these things are default. Okay, then continue. This will be free for 2 months. Okay, so go to clusters, it should show this. Okay, so everybody just properly spend some time and let's finish this today. Okay, don't just drag it for 1 week, whatever you are busy like today, but make sure like you complete it. Okay, it's a must, otherwise subsequent programs you will not be able to execute. That's the reason I'm just saying. Again, we will be using the same, this one called dweaver to make connection to Redshift also. Okay. So it will ask to download. So I'm just downloading. Okay, because I didn't provide the credentials properly. That's fine. So it's just creating the cluster for me. Now the endpoint has been created. So what you can do, you can copy it. Okay. Okay, you can say last, it's just adding the port number. Cool, the connection is done. So no security issue because it just picked up the same security group. So we are good, right? So all the software configurations has been done. So next session we'll start doing the data ingestion part. We'll first spend the first session, means next session will be mostly on RTD again, but Thursday onwards, like we'll be reading data from these systems. Okay. So everybody just complete. You have enough time. You can complete it by tomorrow end of the day, or at least if it is possible, if you can complete it today, it will be great. Okay, let's not drag it for a longer time. So everybody just complete this setup. Okay. So then we'll again connect tomorrow. Cool.
Siddharth, can you solve that my issue?
Yeah. So you just drop off this and rejoin because the next batch will be joining. So by the time people will be joining, I can fix you. Okay, I can fix this. Okay, then I'm dropping off. Okay, so we'll again connect tomorrow. So Nirath, you can connect in another 5 minutes. Okay.
Okay.
Join the same place.
Okay.
Cool. Bye bye.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Bye.